Hell yeah. It's time to play the game.
Game of life.
You think you know me? Boys, we're back.
It's been forever.
In the flesh. It has been at least a month.
It's been a while.
Jake, you aged and traveled outside of the country. How was that?
I did. It was good.
Yeah?
It was good to get away for a little bit. Vacation was always nice. It was fucking needed, man.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was hella tired. I wanted to get, just relaxing weekend. But yeah, it was like, went to Puerto Vallarta, stayed there for a while, got pretty tan.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it was fucking nice.
And you, like I said earlier, you missed like the worst weather here that we've had. I mean, this
Yeah.
week was pretty tough too, but like
It
that
was.
was the first tough, like everything was wet for like a week.
Yeah. It was wet.
My Halloween decorations were struggling by the end of October, like because we had all those fake spider webs. They like the wind blew them off the house and they like mashed together in this like nasty ball of gum from hell. But no, glad to hear that you had fun. You sent me a picture of our main man El Chapulín.
Oh yeah, yep, saw him.
Yeah, saw him.
Still on the side.
Fuck yeah. Matt, anything new and exciting going on for you?
Not much, just fucking life. And
Yeah.
Crosby's growing fast, playing football, getting into basketball pretty soon. And
Nice.
he's got an Achilles injury. I think he's trying to be like McCaffrey and
I was about to.
kind of like living off of him. But no, he's
Hell
doing
yeah.
good. Life is good, man.
Yeah.
Selling on eBay, getting rid of vinyls and cards and making a connection there. So it's been fun trying new things.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Rock on crouton. Yeah.
What about you? What's new with you?
Shit, man. Went and saw. I've been hanging around the Truffle Jam gang here and there. Went and saw them literally the night of the last episode that we did. Won a raffle with. I was telling Matt this. I didn't tell you.
This raffle was fucking kick ass.
Dude, they had. We went to the Truffle Jam show and it was like a cat rescue fundraiser and they had like 10 raffle baskets and the cream of the crop one was $100 to Nelson's, the Mexican restaurant on the Wit.
Nice.
$25 to Hot Mama's Wings, $50 to Party Downtown, which is like in the same parking lot as her work.
This was all one?
All one basket.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. A huge like serving tray for like chips and dip, a bottle of 1800.
Oh shit.
And like a huge thing of tortilla chips, Cholula salsa, which if you get a chance to try it, that shit rules.
Nice.
Yeah, and Audrey put in like 20 fucking tickets, and it like this basket was such a big deal. It was at Viking Brewery. Have you ever been out there?
Yeah,
They have like food trucks outside and then the bar inside. Mm-hmm. The band was outside and there were people from like the opposite end of the bar that came out to hear the results of this basket alone. And me and Audrey are just sitting there just like, and they're like, oh, it's because she didn't write her name on any of them because she bought so many. She's like, and they're like, oh, it's a numbered ticket. And we're like, and they're like 686. And like we had like our whole group was like around us, like invested in us getting this basket.
Nice.
And we fucking got it.
So
and it was
cool.
sick. We're debating on going to Nelson's tonight because $100 we would just have to buy drinks
yeah.
at that point.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. And then other than that, got a dog last week, literally a week ago. That was pretty cool. Little pep girl. She 4-year-old English bulldog, a little overweight, but we're working on it. And she loves the shit out of me. I didn't tell this detail. This was heartbreaking. Unfortunately, she knows the process of being like adopted and fostered out. So she knows what going to PetSmart and leaving with somebody else looks like. So as I'm like filling out the paperwork, she like hops up on the table with her front legs and is like wiggling like, oh my God. And then ever since then is like glued to me. I'll be in the kitchen making dinner every night and she's on the couch just like, what's he doing? You think he's going to come sit down anytime soon? And then she will just like, she gives hugs and shit. Yeah, she's a fucking sweetheart.
That's an awesome dog.
Yeah. So,
Little friend for Basil.
running around and stuff. It's been a blast. But yeah, other than that, before we jump into your question, while we're giving up news, wanted to point out or shout out R.I.P. Phil Lesh, the bassist for the Grateful Dead, passed away.
He did.
Like that was like right before Halloween. Oddly enough, I bought his book on Amazon that he wrote and put out in like '06. I bought it and it came like 2 days before he died. Haven't read it yet. But yeah, I was like on Amazon or something and it like gave me an ad for the book and I was like, oh cool, I'll buy that for sure. Was like, I have a couple books to read ahead of it, and then I open up my phone and it's like dead at...
Well, I think that book is now skipped to the front. You should
Yeah,
read that. Yeah.
exactly.
It's a sign.
So RIP to that, and then shout out and rest in peace to Quincy Jones from episode 1 of Whatchu Spinnin. He was like 93 or something.
So influential
Mm-hmm.
in so many ways with so many different artists.
Oh yeah, that was
Big time.
That was wild. And then I think that's it as far as musician deaths. But I had to shout out both of those because those were both really fun albums and really fun listens. Go back to check those episodes out in Whatchu Spinnin. And now I kick it over to Matt, who has a surprise question for us.
I was just going to ask you guys, what's name top 3 bands that you're listening to right now that you haven't been listening to? Or there may be different out there for you.
Ooh.
And I can start off that way you guys can think about it. I'm going to go with The Doors. I've been listening to a lot of Jim
Nice.
Morrison.
Nice.
Kind of getting back into that groove. I grew up listening to a lot of The Doors in high school, so coming back to those albums is always fun. Another artist is Can.
Mm-hmm.
Weird, kind of eclectic, influential band as well. And Godspeed You Black Emperor's new album has just been glued to my playlist for a while now because it's almost like one long song. All those tracks blend together so well, and they just do what they do so well, playing so many different instruments at once and making it unique and thunderous and emotional and sad and happy at all at the same time.
Hell yeah. I love that. I have been going back and listening to some Billy Woods album. I mean, of course, like it's just going to get mentioned all the time, but it's true. I went back and have been listening to Terror Management by him because when we saw him live, he did. Yeah, I've been really enjoying it because when we saw him live, he did Western Education is Forbidden, and I had never heard that song, and I was like, oh, let me go listen to that, and then I was like, just ended up listening to that whole album, and I've been really liking that. I think I mentioned it last episode. Ross from Friends, which is like beats, like Aphex Twin, but like more beats oriented. I mentioned them or him. I had listened to like 1 or 2 songs. I've been listening to that whole album called Tread. I sent that to you guys. I actually went back and listened to the full thing. It's a really good listen. There are some tracks on there that are like strictly ambient, which has been really cool. And kind of in that vein as well, Brian Eno been getting into some Ian Meister. So that's been fun. I picked up Music for Films, which is one that I've been looking for since we covered it. Finally managed to grab that from Moonrock recently, so that's been fun. And yeah, that's mine.
Nice. I did listen to Brian Eno in the airports on my flights. Mm-hmm. It was cool. So definitely Brian Eno. What band was that out of New York?
Incendiary,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of them have been popping up like on my shuffle sometimes.
Yeah.
So been listening a little bit more of them.
It's funny you mentioned that.
They're on my shuffle too. I've been listening. That's funny as hell, dude. I'm like, you really? You too? That's cool. That's cool.
I've been trying to find out like how to learn their songs on guitar, but all of it's like behind a paywall on Ultimate Guitar, and they just sent me an email yesterday that they were selling a year's worth membership to that service for like dirt cheap in comparison to what it usually is. So I bought it because I wanted to learn Incendiary. I was like, fuck it. And so I was listening to some of that last night and like trying to play along with some of it. Yeah. So fuck yeah, dude. Incendiary rules.
Yeah. No, for sure. Like it just pops up all the time. And then honestly, Tool. Just lately I've been listening to a lot more Tool.
Yeah.
It kind of got me back into it. Yeah.
Hell yeah. I love that.
It's great. I love that.
I do too. I do too. And for me, honestly, like I'm getting back into this album too. I wanted to mention just because it's on the wall. Yeah, Lil Mars. Picked it up also at Moonrock and was like, man, I love it. Been listening to it at work and shit, and I am so stoked that they're opening for Deftones in February. It's gonna be fun as hell. It says apparently I think I told you they're like doing hard rock jam sets, basically like prog metal like jam sessions on stage.
Yeah,
They're playing like 5 songs, but it's like an hour and a half set.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I'm like,
You're
fuck
in for a
it.
treat.
Give me a jam version of Drunk
yeah.
Ship of Lanterns. I don't give a shit.
Right?
Nice.
Anything.
Yeah.
That'll be a fun show.
Yeah, that will be.
'Cause I've seen some live performances from them recently, and they're still
Killing.
very, very like on their shit.
Yeah. People were saying, like, if you're into that, because a lot of people were bitching about that. They're like, Mars Volta doing blah, blah, blah. And some people were like, but if you're into that, it was fucking sick.
Yeah, they're doing their thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So, hell yeah. I'm trying to think. I almost had one. But other than that,
Besides that, like, what have you guys been listening to?
yeah. Other than those 3, just been getting into, like, I made that ambient vibe playlist that I sent you to take from, and I will sometimes like go to the bottom of it and then let Spotify shuffle from there, and I've just been picking up like random stuff through that.
Nice.
There was, I love when music is just people being a dickhead, basically. There's someone who at one point had like their music name was 2003 Toyota Corolla, and
Nice.
all of their songs were just a year. It would be like 2010 Toyota Corolla, 2011 Toyota Corolla, and it's like basically music for films. Like, it's just like that same kind of vein. So that was hilarious. There's one, it's in that playlist, and it's just a bunch of crazy symbols. I really like that album. It's literally, I couldn't tell you what it is. It's a bunch of symbols, and the cover is fish.
Oh, I've seen that one.
Yeah,
I've seen that one.
Those 2 songs are really good, but that whole album is really nice to put on. Yeah, I've just been getting into like weird beats heavy ambient-esque music for some reason.
Nice. That's it. I know which one you're talking about, because there's like a fish on the cover, and like it's literally like triangles and circles as the name or whatever. There's no, I've heard it.
Yeah.
That's good.
Hell yeah.
I listened to Freddie Gibbs' new album. That's okay.
Yeah.
It actually wasn't that bad, to be honest. I did listen to it a couple times just because it was like what was on my repeated or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just went like on airplane mode, and that was still on there, so I listened to it. It was good.
Hell yeah.
Did like it. A lot of Café Tacuba. Also really been liking that. They did a Tiny Desk show a while ago.
Okay.
It was good. It's like a Spanish band, like a Spanish rock band.
Hell yeah.
And Masayoshi Takanaka, like a lot. Like on the trip in Mexico, like at the beach, we were like listening to that. It was nice.
Nice. I love that. That's the Seychelles album,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's it. I listened to that like after the Portland trip. That's a good listen. Hell yeah. What about
Like
you?
I told you guys, or when I texted you guys earlier, hello out there. Selected Ambient Works 2
Oh yeah.
by Aphex Twin. Like I was taping off the wall for painting and listening to that weird ass song, and like didn't make sense, but it was working.
Right.
And then Brian Eno's album, The Shut Off Assembly. It's a little bit more of a darker ambient sound, but kind of blends together.
Did you leave Music Millennium with that? Did you end up buying that?
Hell
Hell
yeah.
yeah.
Dude.
Fuck
Fucking
yeah.
Yeah. So
That's
just those
awesome.
two. About it.
Speaking of Ambient Works 2, when I went and got that from Moonrock, I was playing it that night, and number 4 came on.
Yeah,
That
it's the one,
same,
number
yeah,
4, yeah.
that same song came on, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Because we had all the Halloween decorations, right? And I was like, "Oh, hold up," because we have a Bluetooth speaker strictly for the shower in there. I was like, I could make a Halloween playlist that's like not just Monster Mash, and put it up there and like have music playing. Dude, I like every night for like a week, I would come home and just get high and add music to this like Halloween playlist. And a lot of Ambient Works too was on there.
Awesome.
A lot of Portishead also.
Nice.
I did sneak in like the Marilyn Manson version of This Is Halloween. Yeah, it was nice until the speaker died. I probably should have made sure it was charged fully, but I did make sure that number 4 played, and we had like all the lights off in here with like the red lamp going on. It was freaking sick, dude. I'll send you a video if you like listen closely in this video. Mr. Ron's by Portishead is playing as I'm like giving a tour of the
nice.
Halloween decorations. But
Very nice.
yeah, Ambient Works too. Great one, dude.
It is.
Hell yeah. Well, are we ready?
I think so.
Cool.
Let's give it a shot.
Let's insert a little transition right about here, and then we will be right back to bring you episode 82's content. It's Whatchu Spinnin. Thanks for hanging around. I think I got Scaring the Hose there at one point, so I think she is like keeping up on at least something.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I think I got my copy there too.
Sweet.
I think so.
Would you stop scaring the hose?
Would you stop scaring the hose? Well, this is certainly going to scare some hoes. This is a fantastic way to start off an episode. Great pick, Matt, to leave us one to simmer. You know, we had to kind of sit with these.
Simmer on it a little bit.
And by golly, is this a good one to get stuck with for a month? Why don't you go ahead and tell us what it is?
It's a fun one. We've talked about this band before. We've talked about Maynard before, and he's so loved that we're going to talk about Tool, I guess their debut studio album, Undertow.
Ba-now.
Got Adam's Pig Mo on the back there. Fun fact.
What's with all the freaking pigs?
That's what I'm saying.
I guess there were a lot of different inserts and covers for this album when it came out that you could get that were either available or not, depending on where you bought it. You know, like
It was too bad.
or two band.
Yeah.
Because it came out in '93, so back then it was hard to even, buy an album unless you were 18 or had your mom's hand. Mom, buy this for me.
Yeah, it's like buying Grand Theft Auto style. Yeah.
But I didn't really get into this album until I got older, maybe into my mid-20s. But I remember hearing a few songs when I was in middle school. And
Yeah.
Disgustipated was one of them. And I remember driving with a cousin of mine, and that song just came on slowly, and we're just driving. No, we're not talking at all. And he's like maybe 10 years older than me. But that song's fucking weird.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck am I listening to? Is he going to sacrifice me? Like, what's going on? So that was my introduction to Tool. After that, I've grown to love Tool, but that was a weird intro to that band. That being said, they're amazing. This album was came out during a time where there was a lot of grunge music going on, kind of a shift in that landscape, and they stood out on their own with their different time signatures. And Maynard's vocals was like nothing you ever heard. And then all of a sudden people want to sound like Maynard, and you hear that a lot. And he was just a great songwriter. You got Adam Jones playing guitar. And then, of course, Danny Carey doing his thing. So one of my favorite Tool albums, probably my top three.
Yeah.
For sure. What'd you guys think?
To piggyback on that last thing you just said, this session of listening to it for the past month pushed it into top 3 territory for me. I'm sorry, 10,000 Days. But yeah, this is really just a remarkable fucking album. And shout out, everybody in the band was just already top-notch performers, but Paul D'Amour too. His bass playing on this is really something. Mm-hmm. As much as Justin Chancellor is one of my favorite bassists of all time, he's what got me into playing the instrument in the first place. This album, Sober, is one of the most iconic bass intro riffs of all time.
Sure.
Shout out. If you watch any Patriots games that are at home, whoever does the music in Gillette Stadium is a Tool fan, because they play Sober almost every game. When they cut back from commercial, you can kind of hear what they're playing in the stadium. They play Sober almost every game that's a home game. You'll just hear the dun-dun, dun-dun. But then there's also Intolerance, he's doing crazy bass harmonics and everything. I was really dissecting that in particular the past week. I was like, it's crazy that he left the band, because they could have been just as, maybe not, maybe some riffs down the line wouldn't have been a thing, but I was like, God damn, I don't think that they sound much different,
They
honestly.
don't. They don't.
So I really did like that, and yeah, man, early on, Tool is just something to appreciate.
Kicking off the album with that song you just mentioned, Intolerance. What a way to go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for it being too also their first album, it's older. It's early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool seeing the different sides. I hadn't heard this whole album. I had just heard like 2 or 3 songs off of it.
Yeah.
But like hearing this now, you can kind of tell that even from the beginning they were like pretty like well set up with how they were doing and how they were playing, and that shows also in their later works. And I kind of got into because I told you that I've been listening to this a lot more. I got kind of like dug into it and just started listening to way more Tool.
Oh yeah.
But this album was kind of where it started it at the same time, and you hear that throughout the whole album. So I thought it was cool seeing like different perspectives of the band. His voice, and you could tell from the get-go like it was so different from everything else going on at that time. So yeah, it's really good. A really good listen. Yeah.
I remember videos coming out on MTV for Prison Sex. I think that was the only one. And Sober, I think, had a video maybe. But
The video for Sober is incredible.
Like, it's not claymation, but it's some weird animation.
It's like stop animation.
Yeah,
Stop motion,
some
yeah.
weird stuff. But, that really got me into the band too. Like, what is this weird music coming out when Eddie Vedder and Soundgarden are on the top of the charts? And it just set the landscape for music like this to be, made and put out there on the front. So there's so many good tracks on this album. Bottom.
Yeah.
Oh,
You got Henry Rollins in there.
Yeah.
Doing his poetry thing towards the end of the song, and that song's so great.
Yeah, I loved that pick of you playing that before we got into it today. And to kind of touch on what you were saying, Jake, this is obviously the start of the band. This is their debut album, but there are certain things like Bottom. There's the opening riff to Undertow where you're like, oh yeah, that's what Adam Jones sounds like to this day. Like you listen to stuff that they put out since and now, like Undertow is that opening riff. I don't know why I'm like, yeah, this could have been on Lateralis. This could have been on fucking Fear Inoculum. Like, it's like they just figured it out so fast. And I feel like even within like the Tool fan base, this album doesn't get appreciated as much as it should, which is crazy. People are like, oh yeah, Sober and Prison Sex. And as much as Prison Sex is one of my favorite songs of all time, there's like incredible stuff outside of that.
Oh yeah.
Disgustipated is even, you were just talking about how weird that song is. It's just makes the album. I don't know why. Like wrapping that up and then being like, what the fuck? Like it's literally just 7 minutes.
What just happened?
Yeah, it's 7 minutes of cricket noises now. Like
Yeah, it's just like silence. Like what the fuck?
yeah. And you almost need that silence at the end of the album to kind of process what just happened to finish it out. So I think this is a top-notch piece of work outside of it being an album. And of course, the videos behind it and everything are also incredible. I love that there were that many different inserts and covers that you had to basically collect for it, depending on where you bought it. It's just, what a way to come out, man.
Yeah. And at the same time too, like the videos, going back to those, like it just got me back into that wormhole as well. And like seeing their other music videos after this, fucking wild.
Yeah.
Some crazy shit.
Oh yeah.
Like, during the like Lateralis stuff and everything, it was good.
Great songwriting too. Swamp Song, great lyrics. I don't know if you followed that one at all, but very like I don't know, driven towards somebody that might have an addiction to something in a sense.
And that's kind of the theme throughout this, right? Is like the lyrics throughout, but especially on Swamp Song, are very targeted toward somebody else, whereas Maynard's songwriting very quickly went away from being me to you to being like me to me. Like he gets very introspective very quickly in their discography. But that's like what I like about this is that it's like one of the only times, other than maybe some early A Perfect Circle stuff, but this album is really him being very aggressive in the songwriting process, definitely. Which is just wonderful. And it's so fitting for the time, even it's like, that's kind of what we're doing right now, is being aggressive. But then it's like to have it be paired with the music side of it is because it very easily could have been Enema to 1.0,
And all these musicians being unique in their own sense and doing their own thing together was, I think, not as common back then.
Yeah.
And I think that's why Tool gets underlooked in this era, and even this album in general. I mean, like you just said, a lot of people overlook this album. It's in my top 3. This is a great album. There's so much about Tool that's on this album that's on like their last album.
Yeah.
100%. I'm like, this sounds like Undertow. You know?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what keeps me coming back when they put new stuff out, is that there's going to be stuff that sounds like it came out in 1993, or you'll feel that kind of influence from it. And yeah, like to even speak on it, like the songwriting, the lyricism on this too, Henry Rollins, shout out for his little poetry thing in there. Quicksand, you're standing on quicksand, just that being, and you just want to do the Maynard dance when you hear that type of shit. But then, prison sex, the do unto others what has been done to you, and like just the dark themes within that, but they're not so like blatant with it. Like he's not so blatant with like the dark thematics and being like, ooh, I'm trying to be dark and twisted.
Yeah, not at all. You don't feel that. I think if anything, you hear that emotion in his vocal. It's so powerful. Nobody sounds like Maynard.
No,
that's great.
No, and it's remarkable that he still sounds like this, even slightly, which you could say his voice is definitely matured and whatever, but I think he's still killing it.
Yeah. No, it's really good, man. You have songs like Crawl Away, Flood, which I hadn't heard. Really good songs. And it also is lined up pretty well, like where where the songs are on the album. But yeah, to end the album with Disgustipated is like the ballsiest move, because it's like, where do you put a song like that?
Yeah.
Like you can't put it at the beginning. It can't be your opening track.
Yeah.
So it all kind of just like messes with you in that sense. It was like fucking wild for the first listen, but listening to it more often, man, it's so good.
Yeah.
It fucking kicks ass.
Yeah. And I think it's because I always felt this way about Fear Inoculum. There's songs you could pinpoint the influence from every album prior to Fear Inoculum. You're like, okay, that sounds like Lateralis, and Undertow's the opposite of that, to where like Disgustipated reminds me so much of like the crazy interludes off Enema and everything, that I'm like, you almost have to have that. Like that couldn't have not been on the album at this point,
Yeah. Like Chocolate Chip Trip on Fear Inoculum. Like,
yeah.
Only Tool can get away with that. Like,
exactly. And then to play it live too is also ballsy as hell.
Exactly.
Fuck yeah.
I'm glad you guys like this album. It's fun for me. It's one of my top favorites, and it shows what was going on in that era of music, the 90s, and all these different styles, and what a time to be alive, man.
I know.
Music.
Oh, yeah.
That was I love it. Yeah. And shout out. Shall we?
Yeah. Top 3 it up.
Let's do it, baby.
Honorable mention for me is Disgustipated, just because it was the first song I heard and it blew my mind because I didn't know what the hell I was listening to. Second song, or third song for me, is going to be 4 Degrees.
Nice.
I like that song. It has a kind of a cool vibe. And then number 2, Crawl Away. Love that song.
Nice.
And then my favorite song was Swamp Song.
Nice.
It's got a good vibe to it and a good message, and you can. Every time I'm in the car and I hear that song, it's like turned up to 10. Like,
yeah,
it just thumps.
Just
nice.
Crank that bitch. Yeah. You want to go, Jake?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Honorable mention for me was Bottom. I like that one a lot. And then number 3, Intolerance. Number 2 was Crawl Away. That song fucking kicks ass, dude. And then Flood was my favorite. I really found myself listening to a lot of it, like all the time.
Nice. I love that. Now I'm interested to see. Okay, hold on. We'll get into that. No, shout out Undertow, man. Shout out Tool. And this really just made me look forward to the Santa show. So I've been getting into whereas you got into more Tool, I was like, hell yeah, play the fuck out of Undertow. And then I went and was listening to a lot of like Mare de Noms and 13 Step. So yeah. Thanks for that, Matt.
You're welcome.
God damn it. Honorable mentions for me, also Disgustipated, just because these are the cries of the carrots. Reverend Maynard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just let the rabbits wear glasses. And then another honorable mention, Intolerance. The bass work on that's wonderful. Hell of a way to start out an album. Number 3 for me, Swamp Song. Already said everything about it. Love you, Swamp Song. Number 2 for me, Undertow. Also gave that one enough appreciation. Just shout it out one more time. That opening riff, baby. Number 1, kind of alluded to this. This is one of my favorite songs of all time. Prison Sex. Just top fucking notch. And if you want to see a really good performance of it, I've mentioned this about every time that we've brought Tool up. Go watch Tool at the Glass House on YouTube. And there is, like, I think it's in the comments, but someone did all of the set list. There's a version of Prison Sex that they do where they have like an extended interlude in the middle of it. Ooh. That is incredible. I might make you stay an extra 5 minutes so I can show it to you after this. It's fucking good. Anyway, shout out. Tool, Undertow, 1993. Prison Sex was my favorite song. And that was Matt's pick for this week. This fantastic episode 82 of Whatchu Spinnin. We'll be right back to move forward in time about 6 years and talk about Jake's pick. It's Whatchu Spinnin. Thanks. Yippee-ki-yay. It's time to play. We're going to move on to another just really fun pick. Another one that I was super glad to get this much time to listen to. It's a pick from 1999. Jake, what you got?
Yeah, so like Dorian said, 99, Peanut Butter Wolf, My Vinyl Weighs a Ton. Came out in 99. Peanut Butter Wolf, he's like a DJ producer. He produced this album. There's a lot of other producers. There's like 20 other producers or something.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like 8-tracks on here. A lot of Planet Asia, Loop Pack, Madlib, some like underground old school stuff. Still like late 90s, but like kind of shifting to that 2000 sound a little bit. But yeah, what'd you guys think about it?
Shit, I learned so much about this album just listening to it and how, of a breakthrough it was. Mm-hmm. It's so fun to listen to. The song Interruptions at the end.
Oh, yeah.
What a great way to end that album. Zest. Mm-hmm. His flow is so good. He's so fast. And that just blew my mind throughout the whole album. But the sampling, hearing Madlib, Quasimodo, everybody going off on this album, it was fun. I can't believe I've never heard it. But it is very influential and it was a fun listen to, so definitely gonna look for it.
Hell yeah. Yeah, where did you manage to snag this?
I got this in Portland, I think.
Okay.
I don't remember when, but I think it was the week before we went to go up to the show for Peter Cat, I think.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it was it's a good listen.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good listen. What did you think, Dorian?
Oh yeah, no, it's fantastic. Like I had kind of said when you brought this up, I think I had heard a track or two, and now listening to it, that might not even be accurate. But yeah, man, it makes me, like I said before we started, it makes me want to watch that documentary again. This is Peanut Butter Wolf really just curating a just absolute squad of producers, DJs, MCs. You do get to see a little bit of charisma or hear a little bit of charisma on this, which RIP to him, very entwined with the early aughts of Stone's Throw. Yes. And yeah, I didn't realize Homeboy could scratch like that. You know what I mean? Like Peanut Butter Wolf's kind of killing it.
Yeah.
So that it's just fun is the way I would describe this. It's a fun fucking album. Oh, yeah. It feels like 1991. It feels like 2001. Like it's got its foot it's got both of its feet so planted in 2000 and the 2000s and the 90s, which makes sense that it came out in 99. And yeah, just love a good Madlib adjacent album, man. This is this made me realize this week I was listening to this one a lot this week. I've been listening to everything but hip hop for like basically since the summer started. And this like made me, I was like, oh shit, I got to start listening to hip hop again. I was like, this is the catalyst to getting me on a huge rap kick again. So that's fun. And yeah, God damn, this is just right up my alley. If I were to pick like a certain like subgenre or sound of hip hop, that's my favorite. It's this type of shit.
Yeah, people I've never heard of.
Oh yeah,
like Charisma, fucking kills it on Keep It Rockin' It. It's another track. Styles Crew Flows and Beats with the Loop Pack. Fucking great track. Just flows all the way through.
Hell of a beat switch on that one.
Oh,
yeah.
You get that Mad Lib production.
Yep.
It's good.
Phonies featuring DJ Design, like that one. That was a good track.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of people I'd never heard of, but now that I know,
Yeah.
you want to dive back into it because this album is very cool, and it's, I guess, one of the better albums that came out and kind of, is set the bar
Yeah.
for this kind of music in general.
And it's so crazy that like all of these, because this is a damn good album. Like we've established that so far, but it's like, how did this type of music like just stay right below the breaking point of where it was almost the best? It almost like gangster rap being huge. I'm like, how the hell did we get that? How the hell did we let that happen when this shit was going on?
Yeah.
But such is life, or whatever they say. But
Whatever they fucking do.
yeah. But yeah, this type of stuff, and like you said, there's so many people on it that you never heard of, and it almost makes you mad that you haven't. You're like, God damn, how haven't I heard of A-Track? Who's this DJ Babu? Hey, Babu, how's it going? Who the fuck is this guy? Just murdering. Yeah, and it's like you hear the name Peanut Butter Wolf, you're like, what the absolute hell is that?
Yeah.
What's a Peanut Butter Wolf? Oh, it's some fly ass white boy just getting it.
It's just a perfect album to put on the background at like a house party or just like hang with friends, dude, and just vibe and just you can just you can feel it right now.
Oh yeah, a lot of DJ scratching and a lot of like production that was mixed into this too. The samples on it are pretty cool too, all throughout the album. But yeah, man, it's kind of a pretty good listen for that. What was going on in that area, like in this time zone, and you hear like influences from Madlib, from all these other producers in it also.
Yeah. And you kind of hear. Sorry, go ahead. Finish.
No.
You kind of hear. Speaking of Madlib, you kind of hear some stuff that he would end up kind of revisiting. There's a couple Quasimodo lines that he ends up like they are almost kind of thrown in as like literally throwaway shit, but then he fleshes them out on albums. Like I think there's actually something from fucking Further Adventures, or there's a couple of things that you end up hearing on this that are like more fleshed out lyrically, and that's kind of cool to see, is like the early development of Quasimodo and like an Alias. He's kind of flirting with this character that Peanut Butter Wolf ended up pushing him into like seeing as like a full-time or like an actual project to work on. So that's cool. I was like, fucking shout out Peanut Butter Wolf managing to like force him to put to put Quasimodo on this too.
This was like I think one of his first times, or if not his first time, like rapping.
This might actually be what that story is.
Under Quasimodo,
yeah. I think this is the first Quas that you hear, and so after this, Peanut Butter Wolf's like, that little guy, that little bastard that you had, fucking put out an album. And so that's kind of cool because I have to listen to it, but I think it's on Styles Cruise. There's a couple lines on there that you end up hearing on the albums that we've discussed. I'll send them to you.
For sure, I could tell.
Yeah,
it sounds just like it.
Yeah,
but yeah, it was a good listen. I had been looking for this vinyl for a while. And I think it's still on my wall list. I haven't taken it off, but still been looking for it for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought I'd bring it up because kind of a good mix of production to rapping.
Yeah.
And it was just, like you guys said, a fun album. You could throw on anytime, listen to it.
Yeah. I love how prominent the scratching is on it. Like it's almost every song has that DJ scratching you were talking about, which made me think, I was like, again, that's a lost art now. Like nobody knows how to scratch. It made me be like, damn it, man, I wish I didn't get into house music. I would have been a fucking modern day scratcher. I'm wearing the gloves so you can't tell. But yeah, I was driving to work like yesterday listening to this and Casio, and I was like, Casio came on and I was like, man, what the fuck happened to these guys? Why isn't anybody scratching anymore?
Yeah.
I was like, I think I've been to a hell of a hell of a lot of rap shows, and I've maybe seen one person out of like the 10 I've been to scratch, and I'm like, man, it was just a different time.
Yeah, no one really does it anymore that much.
Yeah,
there's a lot, and the song Tale of Five Cities, it's like 5 different DJs and like producers on there, like scratching and stuff.
Yeah,
and they all have like their own section in the song. It's like 10 minutes or something.
Yeah,
that's all over the place on this.
Yeah, having a posse cut of DJs instead of rappers
yeah,
is
right.
That's so cool.
That's quite a move, PB Dubs.
Right? Not bad at all.
No,
it's like featuring. They're not rappers, just fucking producers doing their own.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, what is this, sardonics? Like, what are we doing here? But no, this, there's just so much about this that I just love top to bottom. In your area, it is a hell of a way to start off. I think all of these albums that we have today are really start off really strong.
They do.
And but then, you even mentioned it. Interruptions, you're getting down to the, like, even the stuff at the very end is wonderful. I love how much fun you can tell they're having while making this album. Like you mentioned Zest. I love the intro to the Ever Living. You're tuned in with Grandmaster Zest. Like, just people being corny as hell. I love it, dude. So yeah, and then to have the product, the end product be as strong as it is and influential and honestly monumental for the underground is just awesome.
It is.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, a lot of interludes, a lot of like kind of intro and filler. It's a little inflated. It's like what, 20 songs or something like that? It's kind of long.
Barely over an hour though.
Yeah, 24 songs. So it's like it does have a lot of like cuts and interludes and intros, but that's what adds to it. Also, that's what makes it so fun, and you could kind of follow along wherever, even though it goes all over the place. But yeah, it was a good listen. Glad you guys liked it.
Hell yeah,
that was great.
Yeah, it's kind of the Stones Throw thing to have all the interludes. A lot of the albums that come out of there are just very interlude heavy, but you're never upset about it, Oh
yeah.
Hell yeah. Also, shout out, speaking of things Stones Throw adjacent, Food 20-year anniversary was while we were gone. Hell yeah, man. My vinyl weighs a ton.
Great documentary also.
Oh yeah, Our
Yeah,
Vinyl Weighs a
check that
Ton.
out, yeah.
Wonderful documentary.
They talk about this album.
Talk about this album and a lot of guys that we've mentioned, and it'll introduce you to some things that you're not super familiar with. Yeah, man. Let's see. Do we just want to go track by track? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Would you keep it?
Well, I can do top threes.
Hell yeah.
Let's get into it. Honorable mention for me, Rock Unorthodox.
Hell yeah.
Pablo, this dude, whoever this is.
Yeah.
Like, these are crazy ass names too.
Yeah.
The rappers and stuff. But yeah, that one's good. That's my honorable mention. Number 3 was the other Planet Asia song, Definition of Ill. Mm-hmm. That song is good. Planet Asia, man.
Yeah.
I gotta get back more into his music.
Yeah.
Really good rapper.
I was really digging Planet Asia too.
Yeah.
If you find anything cool, let me know.
Oh yeah. No, I think there is. He's on a couple songs off the Loot Pack album. Mm-hmm. Number 2 was Necromancing. I like that song.
Nice.
And then my favorite track was Styles Crew. That's just like the perfect song that sums up kind of what they were trying to go for on this album, like that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
That's it.
Absolutely. I agree. I will go next. Honorable mention for me. I mentioned it a little bit ago. The Ever Living. Just a lot of fun on that song, and I think that's the first track that has Zest on it. And we talked about him. I do like him as well. We listened to this song earlier. Shout out Jake for choosing it. Breaks Them Down. Did like that song. Number 3 for me, A Tale of Five Cities. Again, a DJ posse cut. How much fucking cooler can it get? Number 2, I mentioned this one a couple of times. Casio. It just made me feel like I was in a warehouse, just watching some dude in Jinkos and a beanie. Just fucking, dude, it's like, it is, Yeah, just of course. It's like, yeah, Casio. Of course, that's the title of it and everything. Very, very old school feel. And then number 1, Styles Cruise Flow Beats. I mean,
Nice.
Incredible beat switch. I'm a huge Quaz guy, huge Madlib guy. So, of course, that's my number 1.
I'm a little left field, but I have a couple
it.
similarities. Start off with my honorable mention, Keep On Rocking It. Like the flow of that song. Just kind of keeps it going. Number 3, Phonies. Number 2, Styles Flows. It's always a good one. And then, Interruptions was my favorite.
Yeah.
I feel like Zest set the tone for me on that album.
Yeah.
With all his tracks and just the way he flows. I like the fast rappers and
Hell
they
yeah.
do it well and you can hear what they're saying.
Yeah.
I love it.
And this is kind of like the instrumentals on this album really are meant for a fast rap. So Zest doing his thing is more than welcome on this. Hell yeah. Thank you for bringing this up, Jake. Fantastic pick. 1999's My Vinyl Weighs a Ton by the man Peanut Butter Wolf, founder of Stone's Throw Records. Go ahead and give this a listen. And listen to any of the other artists that we've mentioned or not on Stone's Throw Records. The guy knows the guy has an ear for music. Let me tell you.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the year 2021 to my pick for this week. We will be right back. It's Whatchu Spinnin', episode 82. Oh boy, it's time to wrap it up. And in order to do that, we got to talk about my pick for this week. One that I'm very excited to talk about. It's probably the heaviest sounding album that I have picked, which is fun. Really, really fun for me.
Typical Dorian pick.
Very typical Dorian pick. But as I just mentioned, I've been very patient. And my pick for this week is from 2021, a band from the UK, Loathe's I Let It In and It Took Everything. Hell of a title, too. I don't know why. Just love that title. Some good old-fashioned modern day, like, I think it's classified as metalcore. I don't know. I don't want to give it the wrong subgenre and have people come after me. So it's metal. We'll call it that. But there's a lot of other stuff going on in it, which is what brings me to it and what makes me bring it to us today. So what did y'all think of it?
Well, Jacob, what did you think of it?
Speaking of touching on what you were saying, like there's a lot of different kind of aspects going on. Like some songs have ambient feel, which kind of threw me off. So I see where it was building up for you. And also like we have some like guttural screams and like some clean and like dirty vocals and stuff like that. It's some points like very aggressive. And then it has like those calming, soothing ones that like start off slow and they end slow. So it kind of threw me off on that.
Yeah.
But apart from that, man, it's good. I hear a lot of like influence and similarities to like Deftones. And I was seeing a lot of that. Like,
if you want to know how you get Loathe, how you get this album in your algorithm is you remember the what is it? The infinite ammo cheat from GTA San Andreas. Like you basically have to listen to the Deftones discography in the right order. You have to do it a certain way, and then after you listen to Diamond Eyes for the first time, Loathe comes up. It's weird, man, because I was like heavy into White Pony, and then I listened to Around the Fur, and then I got super into Diamond Eyes, and then it played, and then Aggressive Evolution came on from this album, and I was like, what the fuck is Loathe? I'm like, these guys, what is this two vocalist band from the UK? So thank you for mentioning that, so I've been sitting on that for a month. But yeah, you literally, it's weird. Like it was the start of my Deftones kick, and then this happened along the way, and I was like, oh, wonderful. I love this. I love this album. So
yeah, it's right up your alley.
Yeah.
I spent most of this week listening to this album and watching that live performance from Audio Tree this morning kind of brought it all into fruition. And man, they're all great, talented musicians. And
yeah.
Are very different in their styles. Like you were saying, they're ambient, they're like shoegazy, they're like guttural, they're metal, they're they're everything. They're like what a band should be. They should make music that they want to make instead of trying to sell music. And I think that's what sets them apart. They just do their thing and they do it well. This album blew me away,
Hell yeah.
start to finish. Some
Good.
of the song titles are crazy, super long.
Yeah.
But they are great. You know? And I just like the mix too. I think the album was spread out really well from track one.
Oh, yeah.
All the
Yeah.
way through. Like they mixed it up really well.
Yeah.
Well mixed album in general.
I agree. I think so too.
Oh yeah. What was that song? Screaming into Is It Really You? Like it has like the ending to the intro to that next song is just like it's just mellow, super ambient. So it's like yeah, exactly what you said, Matt. They like positioned all the songs really well.
And you listen to stuff like that happens on the album, and it makes perfect sense that like 3 months after this came out, they put out the ambient companion to it. Like that album I sent this morning, The Things They Believe, that's a legitimate, like it's supposed to go with this. Like they did the albums like at the same time and released them separately. Like half of the songs on there, just about half of them have the sax player from the 1975 at least like helping in some way, playing on most of it. So that's another really cool thing for me. But yeah, it did kind of, as you're like, yeah, I can kind of see where you trailed off into ambient music from here. Yeah, it was not this album in Aphex Twin. I was off to the fucking races.
Yeah.
And yeah, I do love how dynamic it is. Because it starts out, pretty aggressive, no pun intended, with songs like Aggressive Evolution, Broken Vision Rhythm. And then, you get the softer stuff in the middle / toward the end. And then ending on the title track is a move I always love when a band does. But that song, I let it in and it took everything. Like I played it. I've been obsessed with that. That's like I've like been obsessed with this album like 3 different times since I heard it. And this last time where I ended up bringing it up and everything, I've just been playing the shit out of that song. It's so good because it's got the mix of both. It's got like the kind of big vocals and stuff, like a lot of cleans and everything. And yeah, I love the mix of all that in this. So
I feel like the last part of the album, like tracks 9 through the end, just that was it for me.
yeah,
Like that made the album for me. I don't know what it was, but
Yeah.
it just cemented all their sounds together, and like every song just flowed so well at one after the other.
yeah. And it's good to hear that you guys liked it. And that I was like, if anything, like the softer songs will kind of redeem this, because the beginning of it is very aggressive, and that's like the hardest part of the pill to swallow per se. But yeah, if you like that stuff, like the softer side of it, it makes you appreciate that other stuff. You're like, oh no, the fact that they can even pull that off at all is crazy when this stuff is this good. Because usually you get one or the other. You don't get both in a band like this.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, their whole thing, like a lot of their albums, I've gone back and listened to like 1 or 2 of them. They all kind of have that same setup of like soft with aggressive. This is easily their best though.
Okay.
Like even online, people are like, if Loathe could just put out that again, because they haven't put out like an actual like full length since, but people are like, everybody's like, I'm scared that they're not going to live up to I Let It In, It Took Everything, because it's so fucking good. And I'm like, fair worry to have, because
Right.
this is, and
It's
this
a
is
hard follow-up, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like you can have songs like Gourd that's like super like intense and abrasive, but then you have the mellower songs that it's hard to have that balance and it work, because you have to like that's the thin line where like you're either being too grand or it's like too thunderous with the like the metal parts, and then like too soft with the ambient stuff that they were doing. But it mixes perfectly, like everything on it, and it flows so well is what makes it so good.
Exactly.
And yeah, man, it was a good listen. The beginning of the album, it starts off like right in your face.
Yeah.
Then I thought I was gonna get into that for the rest of the album, but no, it changed it up. So it was a good kind of mix of everything that they incorporated into it.
Yeah, I was that's the exact same thought process I had, because I was like, oh, cool, like some like Deftones inspired like heavy shit, like this is gonna be rad. And then Two Way Mirror came on and I was like, is that was that like a single I just listened to? Because this is a different band, right? No, it's the same guys. And as I kind of alluded to, love a good 2-vocalist band, and both of them do both.
The guitar player sings too, right?
Yeah. And I think they both do cleans and like screams. Like, so they both like kind of alternate, which is awesome. There's another live video that's like fan shot, and they're doing Is It Really You? And someone like, they have people coming up on stage and like diving off throughout the show. But one fan just like runs up like at the end of Is It Really You? And just like hugs the singer and is like, I love you, man. And he's like, I love you too, man. Like, it's like a huge emotional thing. And yeah, they seem like they're absolutely like, the music's like very technical and like they're super talented. There's a lot going on with it, but they just seem like they love doing it, which is always fun to see, especially in a genre like this.
It was a good listen, man.
Oh yeah,
great album.
I'm glad. I was a little worried, but like I said, I was like, the soft stuff will redeem it. We'll be fine. Yeah. I was like, oh yeah, but we gotta talk about it.
You picked this up in music, right?
No, so I pre-ordered it because they did another repress.
Oh, nice.
Because every time they repress this album, when it sells out, the copies resell for crazy. And so I got it on a repress pre-order. I ordered it, and then the day before it was supposed to show up, we went and saw Shane Gillis in Portland, and Music Millennium happened to have one. And I almost bought it just to flip, but I was like, yeah, it's all good. But yeah, that is Loathe. I let it in and it took everything. Let's go ahead and dive into some top threes, fellas.
Let's do it.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah, and this is, sorry, just to say real quick, this is like part of that newer genre of metal where this is like what's becoming kind of popular over there in that realm of music. But this is like one of the most impressive albums that I've personally heard come out from that in like the past probably 4 or 5 years. So shout out to him. I'm still pissed I missed that show. Anyway, honorable mentions for me. Matt, you and I were talking about this one. Heavy is the hand that weighs with the
1,000 thoughts.
Yeah, with the weight of 1,000 thoughts. That one was good. And then second honorable mention, Broken Vision Rhythm. I think that was actually the first song I heard on this. And there's a 2-second bass break that they do that's top notch. And then number 3 for me, Is It Really You? Hearing that was like what made me be like, yeah, this album is incredible. So shout out to that. Number 2, A Sad Cartoon. Was really a big fan of that song this summer. I'm like trying to see which song of this will pop up on my top 5 Spotify Wrapped, because there's an outside chance that it does. And then number 1 for me, the title track. I let it in. It took everything at the end of the album. What a way to finish it off. That first breakdown with the just
That's good.
Top notch for me. Love it. Yeah, those are my top 3.
Nice. Honorable mention for me was Is It Really You? Another great track.
Wonderful.
Number 3, Heavy is the Hand. That I'm not even going to repeat it, but it's that long title song. Number 2, Sad Cartoon. That really, like you said, it kind of brought everything back and showed the dynamic of the band itself and what they could do as musicians. So,
and I like the reprise too, like how it's a sad cartoon, a sad cartoon reprise. I like that.
That was cool. And then after watching the live version on that Audio Tree performance this morning, Gourd. My favorite track on this album.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I did not know there was a live performance of that. I'm going to have to go check that out because I like that song. Gourd is probably my honorable mention.
Nice.
That and also Two-Way Mirror. I thought it was a good switch, change of pace for the album. But number 3 was... number 3 was A Sad Cartoon.
Nice.
I like that song. We talked about it a little bit. New Faces in the Dark. And then Screaming. I really like Screaming.
Hell yeah. I love it. Love this album. You can see the influence from, we mentioned it obviously, Deftones, but some other new and old cats alike. Go ahead and check it out. Very talented group from the UK. That's my pick for this week, released in 2021. And while you're at it, listen to the ambient album that goes along with it, The Things They Believe. And it's a good album, even if it's associated with this or not. Anyway, this is Whatchu Spinnin' episode 82. Stick around. We'll let you know what's coming in 2 weeks' time. Peace.
still.
You're crying, it'll be all right. Hey, there's the logo. And here we are. It's time to let you know what's coming in about 2 weeks' time. Everybody's favorite part of every episode of Whatchu Spinnin. We go in the order that we spoke today, which means, Matt, you're up first. What you got for me, friend?
Kind of alluded to this earlier in the episode when I said what I'd been listening to, but this is an album called Egg Bamyase by Can from 1972.
Hell yeah.
German krautrock, I guess, or whatever. But
How do you
very
spell that?
Influential.
Egg. Oh, egg. Okay, cool. Yep. Perfect.
Easy album cover to remember.
Yep.
Nice.
Wonderful. Can. Love it. You showed me a song off there that I did really like, so I'm stoked to get into that. What do you got?
Yeah, I've heard like one or two songs off of that. It's good.
Heck yeah.
I am going with 2015 Home Shake Midnight Snack.
Okay.
It's kind of a good just something to throw in the background. It's kind of like indie, a little bit of ambient, kind of.
Okay.
Sweet.
And this is another one that I've been really waiting to bring up. There's a outside chance a song off this ends up on my Spotify Wrapped as well. Jake, you kind of inspired me to bring this up based off a conversation we had in Portland. It's Headhunters by Herbie Hancock. One of the best jazz fusion albums of all time. Only 4 songs, so have fun. It's a great list.
Top 4 it up.
Top 4 it up, baby.
It's like a Godspeed episode.
Not the first time.
It's the Godspeed episode. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, yeah, so Herbie Hancock, Headhunters, Can Ege Bamyase, and then Home Shake Midnight Snack. That's going to be a hell of an
Yeah,
episode.
that's a good one.
I'm super looking forward to that. Yeah, this has been a lot of fun. It's good to see you boys again. It's good to be back on the mic talking about the thing I love the most, which is music. So yeah, things are going to look a little different from here on out. Jake's flying the coop, moving out of town, so we'll be remote, but still stick around. It's still going to be the great content that you know and love. We started remote, and we'll go right back to it, and we'll still do some live episodes here and there. But for now, it's Whatchu Spinnin, episode 82. That's Matt, that's Jake, and I'm Dorian. We'll catch you later. Peace out.